Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of ktslabs. It's Leonard Ra here. Okay, so today I want to talk about my favorite switches, and those are the Cisco Catalyst 1000 series. So the 1000 series comes in three different types. You have the 8-port, which is fanless. That's the beauty of the 8-port because it has this cooling here, which is very beautiful, very well done, very well built. It doesn't have any fan in it, so it's very quiet in its 8-port. And then you have your two uplinks here. This supports up to a 10 gigabit uplinks over here. Yeah, so you have it in the 8-port, then the 24-port here, and then the 48 port. And there you have it, 8-port, 24, and then the 48 port switch. Yeah, so the reason why the 1000 series are my favorite set of switches, these are enterprise grade switches that Cisco is targeting the small, medium sized market, businesses. And these are enterprise grade switches for those size businesses. And it is amazing because the difference between the 1000 series switches, you don't need to buy a separate license. You don't need the DNA license. You don't need any of it. You don't need any of those. Everything you need is right here. Yeah, and that's the reason why I say the 1000 series are my favorite because these are enterprise grade switches for small, medium sized businesses. It doesn't necessarily replace the business switches because the business switches that Cisco is still manufacturing the business switches, which the target market is the small and medium sized businesses. But yeah, you can get your hand on this 1000 series. It supports the full iOS XC. You have it here. The advantage of this switch is full iOS XC. No DNA license required. It's your layer 3 switches. So what we're going to do right now is that we are going to run a couple of show commands to let's see what can be done in these switches. This switch can be managed in two ways, through the CLI and then through your web interface for you to configure these switches here. When you press this button and hold it down for about 5 seconds, the switch goes into an easy mode for you to configure it very easy. You can stack the switches up. I don't know if you can do that through the CLI, but I know that you can do that through the web config, that you can stack the switches up from here with the SFPs. So what we're going to do is that, I'm going to put some SFPs here, and then we go into the CLI and see what some of the show commands that we can run from there, and if we'll be able to see these switches, because I know that when you through the web interface, you use something called HStack, and then you try to stack those switches. It's not your full stackable switches like your 9000 series, which you have to buy licenses for everything. But to me, these are great, amazing switches for the enterprise that you can use in your small business, small and medium-sized business environment, and it's easy to get. You can get this this switches straight from Amazon. You can just go onto Amazon and get the switches from there. Anyway, let's get into the CLI and run some show commands and see what we can do with this switch here. Okay, so I do have a set of SFPs here, and some fiber cables. So what we're going to do here is that let's plug the SFPs in, and then get the SFPs in here, and then let's try and then I will have the last one here. Okay, so the fiber, let's plug this up. Go. Okay, so I have the 8-port connected to the 24. What I'm going to do is that I'll hold on, plug in the 48 port. The reason why I want to do that is I want to test from the CLI if I'm able to see both switches being stacked. you know, just want to test it out, because I know that like I said, from the web GUI you'll be able to see that, but I don't know about the TLI. So yeah, let's find out right now. Okay, so let's give it some power and let's check it out. Okay, here we go. Give it power, the 8 port. Now the 8 port is on, and as you can see here, yeah, it's already here. It's booting now, but it's very quiet. You can't hear anything. Let me plug the 24 port now, and then you hear how loud it is. It's not super loud, really. I'm trying to get closer. It's not really super loud, you know. Anyway, okay, so yeah, as you can see, it's booting up here. Because I am console into the 8 port. Here. Yeah, so as you can see here, this is the 1000 series, the 8 port, and it's running the iOS version 15 here, 15.2. Okay, it's not completely booted up, so let's wait. It is a very quiet switch. You know, I really like the loudest switches to work with, and I just love working with this 1000 series switches, you know. Okay, so it's done booting up here, and you know, CLI, you know, CLI junkie. Yeah, you're very familiar with this if you're doing your CCNA, you know, CCNP. But anyway, if you are doing your CCNA, you're very familiar with this. Yeah, the usual dialogue that they present you with, and you always have to say no to that. You don't want it to configure it for you, okay? Because you don't want to use a wizard. So yeah. So what we want to do here is let's just go into the enable mode, and okay. So what I want to do here is, this is a command that you enter, you know, you enter in if you have a stack, the 9000 series. If you have a stack, you enter the command show switch. Yeah, so show switch. I want to see if that command is here. Okay, so wow, I can. Okay, that's good. Huh. All right, so here's, so we can see here we have the command is working. Show switch here. But I see only just one single switch. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's console into the 24 port. Let's see if the 24 port is up. If it is booted up, okay. So okay, so we say no to that. So now we are in the 24 port, and let's go into the enable mode. Let's just wait for it to completely boot. CDP is trying to discover its neighbor. Okay, so we are in the enable mode. Let's enter the same command here on the 24 port, show switch. And okay, so just it is standalone. Okay, so let's run a couple of show commands here that are you know, so we can just find out what this switch can do. And what I want to do, what I would love to do, is to name all the switches accordingly. So let's do this. Let's plug in the 48 port, right, so that we will know. Case 48 port, and I will plug it to back to switch number 1. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, from the 8 port to the 24, and then 8 to 48. Yeah, and just run that command again here, show switch and a single switch. Okay, not a problem. So let's do it. We are here, so let's run the basic config. Let's do that. First of all, we are going to let's get into the configuration mode. That's conf t. So we are here in the configuration mode. What we want to do is to give it a host name, and we are going. So this is we call it C1000 dash 8. So this is the 8 port ASW switch, right? So we know that this is the 8 port, right? And then let's end that configuration. Let's just WMEM. Okay. So let's quickly just do the basic configuration, right? Which is, let's go into conf t again, configuration mode, and let's go into the line con 0, right? And what we do here is let's do login synchronous, and let's do no exec timeout, right? No exec timeout, so that it doesn't time us out when we are in here. No exec timeout. And let's go back into the configuration mode, and we are going to do this no, let's do no IP domain lookup. Okay. Yeah, so that when we make a mistake, type in, it doesn't try to resolve that. Okay, let's end that. Come here, and then save that. Okay, so let's console into the 24, and let's do the same thing for the 24, so that we will. Okay. So right here, let's do the same here. Let's go into configuration mode, and let's give it the host name, right? So what we're going to do here, we're going to call this one C1000-24 access switch. All right, so that's the host name, and let's go into the line console, line console 0, and let's do login synchronous here, and again no exec timeout, exec timeout. And let's go back into the configuration mode, and let's do no IP domain lookup, lookup. Okay, all right, so let's end that in WMEM, just write to memory. I don't like typing on this keyboard when I'm doing configurations. It's not my favorite keyboard. Okay, now what we're gonna do is that let's do the same thing for the 48 port. Yeah, let's get into that. Okay. Oh, 48 port don't have power. Let me give it power here. Okay, that's booting up. It is a very quiet switch, very quiet, and that's what I love about it. Okay, we do the same thing here. Note to that, and let's get into the enable mode, and let's go into the configuration mode. So that is config T, and what we're going to do is we are going to give it a host name. Let's do that, a host name, and this is C1000-48 access switch, right? And let's go into the line configuration mode, so line con 0, and we are going to do the login synchronous here, login synchronous, and we do a no execute, timeout. We don't want that, and we're going to exit from there and give it a no IP domain. We don't want domain lookup. Okay, so let's end that, and then we write to memory. Okay, all right. So now we can, when we switch between the switches, we'll be able to tell which one we are logged in. Anyway, let me issue that command again here. Okay, it will be a single switch. Okay, all right. Yeah, so let me log in back into the 8. There we go. So I'm here in the 8 port. Yeah, so let's run a couple of few show commands of that what we can do. So we can do basically, let's see what we can do here. Yeah, I've already shown we can host name. We've already done that. We've already changed the host name. We've already set up our line configuration for login synchronous and all of that. So let me end this. I want to end. Let's come here. Let's show IP interface brief, right? Okay, so this is our 8 port. So this is the interfaces that we have here. We show a VLAN brief. So a single default VLAN is what we have here. Yeah, and then your default VLANs here. What I want to do is let's go into the 48 port. Need a little bit more port, so we're in the 48. Let's do show IP interface brief. So we have we have a lot of ports here for the 48. Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do here is let's try and create some VLANs, move some interface into some VLANs, and then let's set up the SVI, and then just a couple of, like I said, show command. We want to see what this switch can do, right? Okay, so we are going to go into first of all show VLAN again brief. We have a single VLAN here, and all the ports are in the VLAN. Okay, so the basic thing we are going to do is that we are going to create some few VLANs. So conf t, right? So it's a VLAN, let's say VLAN 20, right? Yeah, and then let's do VLAN, okay, VLAN 20, let's do VLAN 40, and let's do a VLAN 80. Why not? Okay, we can end here. Can show VLAN brief, and there we go. So we have our VLANs that we've created here. We have our VLAN 20, 40, and then we have our VLAN 80, right? Okay, it's easy to create VLAN. Let's move some interfaces into some of the VLANs. So what we're going to do is configuration mode, and let's move switch. Let's interface. Let's do the range command here, right? And what we are going to do is we're going to move interface 10. Yeah, let's move 10 to 12, into VLAN 20. Why not, right? So yeah, easy. So that's so interface range. So gigabit 1, port number 10 to 12, right? Okay, so we are in the range. And let's move that switch port access. First of all, before we move it, let's run the usual command, switch port mode. So we can run the mode command here, and what we have access switch, dynamic, private VLAN, and trunk. So we have these options here which supports that. So this is going to be an access mode, and then we're going to move this switch port access. So VLAN. We said we're going to move this into VLAN 20. So we move that into VLAN 20, and then let's exit from this interface. And so okay, so we move 10 to 12. We move it into VLAN 20. Okay, and then so let's move quickly. Let's move our 13 to 15 to VLAN 40. So again, we do the same thing, interface range command, and I just love to just do this quickly. and we move to 15, right? So it's a switch port. We can do the switch port mode command here, and then that's an access, and then we move that switch port access VLAN VLAN 40, right? So we move that into VLAN 40, and then we'll do the same thing here, interface range command, and I love doing this. 16, yeah, to 18, right? Okay, so again, switch port mode and access, and then switch port access VLAN. I think we have is VLAN 80. Okay, so let's end this and then show. Let's do a show VLAN brief now. Show, right? Show. I'm trying to type the whole thing. Show, because I'm not VLAN. I'm not used to typing in here. Okay, so as you can see, it's easy to create a VLAN, and it's easy to just move port into those VLANs, right? Okay, so that is all good. Let's try and give it some interesting name, right? The VLAN. Let's try to name those VLANs. So again, let's go back into the configuration conft and say VLAN 20, and let's give it a name IT, right? And then we go into VLAN 40, and let's give it that one a name. Let's call it admin. Yeah, and let's go into VLAN 80, and we give it a name. Let's call that one sales, right? Okay, so exit out, and let's do a do show VLAN brief here. So as you can see, it's easy to just give it to rename the VLAN, right? It's easy to create a VLAN, easy to give it a name, easy to move ports in and out, and that's good. So let's do a do show IP interface brief. Okay, so yeah, so we have all our interfaces here. So what we are going to do next is let's try and what we're going to do, let's try and give this interfaces, let's create an SVI, right? So we are going to give this interfaces an IP address, right? So let's do that. The SVI, let's configure an SVI. So to do that, interface VLAN 20, right? So let's give it an IP address. IP address, we go to 10.20.20. Let's do 1, right, for the SVI, and 255.255.255.0 524. No shoot, which is not necessary to do. So let's now go into interface. So what we're doing now, we are creating our SVIs, right? Okay, so interface VLAN 40, and let's give it an IP address. IP address, we'll give it at 10.40.40.1.255.255.255.0, and let's go into our interface VLAN 80, and let's give it an IP address. Address 10.80.80.1.255.255.255.0, and let's end that, and let's do show IP interface brief. Okay, so there we go. This is our SVI. As you can see, it's up. Yeah, so the line protocol. Okay, so there we go. So here we have it. Our SVI it's easy to create SVIs here, and then what we are going to do is let's do show IP route, right? Okay, which is empty here, right? But let's issue this command here, conft. Let's do IP routing. Let's hit turn that on, and let's do show IP route. Boom. Okay, we just turned IP routing on, and then we can see here we can easily configure some routing protocol. So let's see what can we configure in terms of routing protocol. What does it support? So let's go conft. Yeah, let's do router. Let's check it out. So from here, okay, I am on the 48 port, but I think that the 8 port, they all can do it exactly the same thing. Yeah, so we can configure BGP here, ISIS, intermediate system to intermediate systems here, yeah. Whoa, okay, that is IGRP for iOS network, mobile routes, on-demand stop route, OSPF. Wow, it even supports OSPF v3, and IPv4 OSPF and IPv6 OSPF or OSPF v3, which supports both IPv4 and IPv6 if you're doing a dual stack routing, and then your old routing protocol on RIP. So it supports quite a bit of routing protocol here, and that is amazing. This is the 1000 series. I mean, this is still the 1000 series, and look at that. Wow, that is good, right? So that is amazing. We're not going to configure any routing here, but let's try and configure. Let's do a let's configure loopback 0. Let's give it an IP address of one for the 255.255.255, /32. That's what we're doing here for a loopback interface. That's what we're creating here. Yeah, so let's do show IP int brief. Okay, so right at the bottom we are going to have our loopback interface. Yeah, okay, so yeah, the reason this is up, right, up, and this is down because obviously we don't have, this is your layer 1, right? There's nothing plugged into any of those ports, so that's why it's showing down. So if I should plug anything in, that will go up anyway. Okay, so just a quick one, right? Let's do conft, let's do router OSPF v3, right? And then we give it a process ID of 1. Oh, wow, okay. Huh. Router OSPF v3. Yeah. Yep. Okay. That's a good one. Protocol not in this image. Okay, so at least that's a good one. Okay, so v3 say it's not in this image. I don't know, probably maybe an updated image, and updated image, and it's going to support that. But okay, let's try OSPF v4. Router OSPF v4. Let's give a process ID of 1 and enter. Okay, so again, that is protocol not in this image. So hey, we are finding some things out here. Okay, so let's do router. Do you see EIGRP? IGP, EIGRP, BGP. Okay. So BGP. Yeah, AS number, right? So we are going to give it an AS number of 100, and it's not in this image. Okay, so let's do in here and show version. This is something that probably I will have to go find out. If it has to do with the version number, perhaps maybe, or if it has to do with a version number, or it totally doesn't support any of the routing protocol, any of the dynamic routing protocol. But what I do know that it does support a static. So conft and we can do a static route. Let's do a static default route IP route in 0.0.0.0 0.0.0.0, right? And let's send that to let's just say on 2.168 dot 20.254, and okay, IP route. Okay, 0.0. Am I typing too fast? Yeah. Dot anything. Yeah, and the next hop address. Send it to 192.168.20. Let's just say 1. Oh, maybe I was typing too fast. I probably typed some extra zeros here. Huh. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so as we can, let's a show. Let's do a show IP route, and then okay. So what the next thing we are going to do, right? Let's try is, can we each channel, which I think that should support that easily. Show IP interface brief, right? Let's try and create an ET channel between. Okay, so inter-channel between port, yeah, this 2 port here, all right? Okay, let's try it, which it should support that. Conf t into range. Let's do the range command again. 248. Yeah, so we do a channel group, and then we give a group name of 1, right? Oh, okay, well, yeah, channel group 1, and we are going to give it a mode. Right, okay, so let's see, what does it support? Yeah, LACP, PACP, yeah, your static, support your static channel, ET channel, support LACP and Cisco proprietary PACP here. So yeah, so we can say desirable, which it will now be, that will be enabling PACP, right? And enter. There we go. So let's find out. Let's look at what we've done. Show IP interface brief. Let's look for our port channel, which should be somewhere. It should be at the bottom. Boom. So there we go. Each channel. We've created each channel easily. Yeah. What else can we look for here? Conf t banner message of the day, MOTD. So banner MOTD, we can configure banner MOTD, that we can do that. So let's do here. Let's go into the channel group that we just created now, right? So let's go into the interface ports channel 1, right? Let's try and see it. Let's do a stand. Does it supposed to stand by? Okay, so we cannot configure a standby here. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go into one of the interfaces. Let's go into interface 46, right? Interface 46, and let's see if we can. Does it support? Okay, so it doesn't support a standby. I cannot configure that. I cannot configure a standby HSRP. Let me in here. Let me go to VLAN 1, right? See, exit interface VLAN 1. Right. Okay, so it does. We can configure a standby. We can do that. HSRP, that is good. Right, okay, so let's just say standby 1. What does we support here? Yeah, HSRP. Let's support all. Huh, that's really, that's it's amazing, you know. My one IP, let's just give it an IP address, 255.255.255.0, and oh no, that's it. Yeah, no, this is the primary. So we can, as you can see, we can configure a standby here. Yeah. It's, of course, yeah. It's not, because we haven't configured any interfaces and all of that. So we can. So just what I wanted to show you is that if we can, if it supports a standby, if we can configure a VRRP or HSRP, and we can see here that yes, we can configure a standby here. Yeah, you know, HSRP. Okay. Name premium, so that's what it supports here. HSRP. Okay, so it supports HSRP, not any other of the standby. But at least, you know, yeah. Wow. Okay, this is good. So the only thing here is the dynamic routing protocol, router RIP. You know, give it router RIP. Nobody will configure this anyway. Okay, so so we can configure RIP on this image here to show version, right? So this image version 15. So I think that those other ones are also they are also support. Let's exit out of here. Let's do router again, and I think perhaps is the image version of what, that's what I'm going to look into. Yeah, and then see if all this here, if we can configure all this. Wow, this is really good. This is really good here. Now that you know, this 1000 series support all these features here. Yeah, this is a feature that you don't have to. The 9000 okay, let's move this. The 9000 series switches, if you want to configure HSRP or you want to configure standby EIGRP or any of the routing protocol, these are features that you have to buy. The advanced DNA advanced license is what you have to buy to be able to do all those configuration, and now you have those features here. It's just amazing. Okay guys, there you have it. These are amazing set of switches. I know I've been able to take you through quickly the CLI, just a couple of few short commands. You can see these switches can do a good amount of stuff. These are really good switches. Great enterprise switches, can do more than enough for a small and a medium-sized business. It's either you get this one here or you get the business switches, but I won't recommend the business switches. I would definitely recommend this because the prices are good. You can look it up on Amazon. You can get it from Amazon. Great prices and enterprise features, which you are going to get for your environment, right? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of KTS Labs. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and comment below, and don't forget to follow me up on Instagram, KTS Labs. Thanks guys. I will see you guys in another video. Gracias.